I showed a few people what I was working on, and next thing I know, someone wanted one, so I had to check what they sell for, and holy poop, I cannot believe how much these things sell for. Let's make some floating shelves.
For each shelf, you need a 8-foot 1x8 and a 8-foot 1x4. You're not going to use all of the material for each of them, but you'll have some scrap wood to do other things later on, which is okay. I've already made one, and I'm going to be making 2 more, so that's why I have 2. So really quick, I noticed my piece of wood here has a pretty bad chunk, so I'm just going to slice this off really quick.
What do you think of me mixing POV footage in with the videos? Comment below. And I'm also trying another new thing where I have a tape measure in the top right corner when doing important measurements with the measurement and the quantity.
The total length of my shelf is going to be 34 inches, so I need to subtract 1.5 inches off of that to make room for the outside pieces. So we're going to 32.5 inches.
To clarify, we're cutting the 1x8.
I'm just measuring from the other side.
Now, the measurements that you see on screen are going to be for one shelf. It may be a little bit confusing because I'm cutting for multiple shelves, so just keep that in mind when you're watching the video. And now we're on to the 1x4. We're going to be cutting our fronts, which are 34 inches. That's the shelf size I'm making, so I'll be cutting 2 of those myself. You're only cutting 1 if you're making one of these. And then I'm going to cut the back brace, which will hang on the wall and the shelf will slide on. That's 32.25 inches, just to make it slide in a little bit nicely. And then after that, we're going to be measuring out our side pieces. I'm using the 1x4 for the sides because I think it wraps around a lot nicer than using the 1x8s and wrapping around. So I'm oversizing to 15 inches so I can just run it through my table saw one time.
Okay, so I have all my pieces here, and I'm just going to tell you exactly what I'm doing, and then I'm going to do it right afterwards. So I have our side pieces and our 2 fronts. I'm going to set the table saw to 3.25 inch first, and I'm going to trim off one side, and then I'm going to set it to 3 inches exactly, and I'm going to flip it and trim it again. I'm going to do that with all of these pieces here. I'm going to do a very similar process on these other boards over here. I'm going to go to 7.25 inches and then down to 7 inches. Good? Following? Awesome.
So I don't have it right here on the screen with me, but I also have my back board, which is the 32.25 inch piece that we cut. We're going to be ripping that down to 1.5 inches, and one side of those is going to be cut into 6-inch strips, and that's actually what we're going to be doing right now. We are taking all of those strips and we're taking 1/2 of those strips and we're measuring it into 6-inch pieces. And I find this works really well because you can expand the shelf to be bigger. Like if you make it 40 inches and then you're using 38.25 inch back piece, you're gonna have 6-inch pieces, give or take, and it kind of spreads out the load quite nicely depending on how large you make the shelf. It really works out very nice. It's quite surprising. But my pieces look very different because I'm just using random scraps at this point to make it all work. Alright, so now I'm cutting out all of my 6-inch strips from my 1.5 inch pieces, and I'm cutting a lot more than you will because the shelves that I'm building for myself are different because I got some trim to wiggle around, so mine are in 2 different pieces. It gets a little bit complicated. And I have a time lapse going right now where I'm building those shelves. Don't worry, I'm going to get into a detailed, more closer look of making the shelf that you're building. But I just wanted to take an opportunity to thank you for watching this video so far. I hope you're getting some good use out of it. And if you are, you can like, you can subscribe, you can comment down below. It all helps very much. And let me know if you're going to try building these shelves to sell them. They're surprisingly, like, I was surprised because I was genuinely just making them for myself, and I showed one picture to one person and they're like, that's beautiful, can you make me one? And next thing you know, I'm making more than one for other people. So it's a really awesome project. It's really simple. It costs $15 in materials and it takes like 25 minutes to put together. And when you're seeing people sell them for like $200, I think it's worth giving it a shot. So anyways, let's jump into the more detailed instructions of building the shelf that you're building. I'm going to begin by attaching my sides onto either the top or the bottom. It really doesn't matter which one you call it. After you put it together, if you don't like the top, just flip it over and boom, now it's the bottom. A strip of glue and a few brad nails is plenty for this. Next, I'll attach the other side piece and make sure you put it on the correct side. I'm not speaking from experience or anything, but it's a mistake you can make. After that, we'll attach the bottom, or the top, whichever you decided this piece is. I will run a strip of glue along both ends of the long board, not the long ends, the short ends, and then I will slide it into place, nail one side, and then the other. It's a little awkward gluing it, but it works. I don't want to use too many nails, because that's more holes to patch, and honestly you could skip the nails completely and just glue and use clamps and some time. But I didn't want to use time, I wanted a quick solution to this get it done. Lastly, for the shelf portion, we attach the front. If all of your cuts were correct, this should line up perfectly. And if they weren't, well, call it rustic, I guess, or sand it down until it's nice and straight. This one was actually the best one I did, except the front of the shelf face is kind of ugly with that big knot, but with enough stain, it looks pretty good.
Now, I'm not saying the seams are perfect, but they're pretty good.
Now we need a way to mount it to the wall. Grab your longer strip, the back mount, and we're going to install our pins, or posts, pegs. I don't really know what to call them, but pins is what I'm calling them for today. And this might be overkill, but I'm going to pre-drill 2 holes for each pin. While you're drilling your holes, keep in mind that studs are generally 16 inches apart. So I try to space my pins so that no 2 of them are exactly 16 inches apart. This just makes it way easier to actually hit at least 1 stud during installation and hopefully 2. A bit of glue on each pin and a brad nail to hold it in place, and then I add all the screws after. That's probably the best way to do this. I was planning on testing the strength of these shelves, but I didn't get a chance to. If you want a strength test, comment below. I'll happily hang off one of these, try to do a pull-up. It'll be a short form video, but I could try it. So when you're testing this out and you get it into the shelf, don't push it all the way in. It's a pain in the butt to get out, but if you do, pre-drill a hole, put a screw in it, and then just pull up on the screw. You might need 2 on each side, or 1 on each side, but yeah, perfect fit, very tight, awesome. Now let's finish this bad boy.
Okay, so we're at the stage where we're going to be filling the holes in the front of the floating shelves. I don't need to do the sides because my sides won't be visible, but if your sides are visible, again, mine are removable, yours are not, then fill in the sides as well. But for me, it's just a wasted effort, so there's no point in doing it. Now, when you need sawdust for doing your glue ups, or these little patches, a good trick is to use a little coffee grinder and just
So I mix up a glue sawdust paste to patch up those holes, and then I'm going to be doing some nice quick sanding to clean all those up after waiting a little bit. For me, it was a couple days, but you know, it is what it is. So a couple questions. What would you guys sell these for? And are you going to build any of these? Also, I have a couple ideas for different versions of this floating shelf. Perhaps, I guess, different finishing levels. If you're interested in the idea of seeing that, comment below. In other words, enjoy the rest of this video where I finish and install these. And thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment lots of things.
More satisfying.
And as always, I'll see you in the next one. One man, one floating shelf. Keep watching to witness the fight of a lifetime. Will he get it in?